English, this is the Health Report.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report.
Researchers have developed a medical device which they say
Researchers have developed a medical device which they say
can recognize malaria infections in the
human body.
The laser beam scanner is said to be the first
The laser beam scanner is said to be the first device
to identify the disease without a blood test.
to identify the disease without a blood test.
The test is painless, does not require blood from the
The test is painless, does not require blood from the sick person, and appears to be correct every time.
sick person and appears to be correct every time. At present, doctors use costly equipment to test
At present, doctors use costly equipment to test for malaria.
for malaria. The new test only needs a person to place a finger on
The new test only needs a person to place a finger on the laser device.
the laser device. Dr. Dmitry Lopatko is with Rice University in Houston, Texas.
Dr. Dmitry Lopatko is with Rice University in Houston, Texas.
He says the scanner works by shining a very short pulse of
He says the scanner works by shining a very short pulse of light through the skin.
light through the skin. The light comes from a low-powered laser.
The light comes from a low-powered laser.
It shines on a very small particle called
It shines on a very small particle called
the hemozoan.
the hemozoan.
The malaria parasite produces hemozoan
The malaria parasite produces hemozoin when it affects red blood cells.
when it infects red blood cells. Hemozoan crystals are not found in blood cells
Hemozoin crystals are not found in blood cells that are free of the disease.
that are free of the disease. As the laser heats the crystals, they create
As the laser hits the crystals, they create small bubbles inside infected cells.
small bubbles inside infected cells. Dr. Lopatko says the bubbles
Dr. Lopatko says the bubbles explode, making sound that scientists can hear and count.
explode, making a sound that scientists can hear and count. He says that in tests, the laser scanner
He says that in tests, the laser scanner was never wrong.
was never wrong. It also identified the malaria infection early.
It also identified the malaria infection early when the treatment is important.
When treatment is important. The device is easy to carry and operates on battery power.
The device is easy to carry and operates on battery power.
It costs about $10,000 to $20,000 to make.
It costs $10,000 to $20,000 to make.
Dr. Lopatko estimates that each laser
Dr. Lopatko estimates that each laser beam scanner could test more than 200,000 people a year.
beam scanner could test more than 200,000 people a year. He says that means the cost of testing would be less than 50
He says that means the cost of testing would be less than 50 cents for each patient.
cents for each patient. An article describing the malaria testing device was published in
An article describing the malaria testing device was published in the journal Proceedings
the journal Proceedings of the National Academy
of the National Academy of Sciences. For VOA Learning English.